A man kneels next to an unconscious child. He takes off his pants. He breathes in her mouth, but this scene falls into the eyes of the woman passing by. But he becomes a man who violates a child. The woman screams and runs to the police. That day, Dashan was arrested. What does his handheld brush explain? But he was kicked by the impatient police officer. All the media outside the house move. They don't care. A man with intellectual disability and only a 6-year-old IQ. It's almost impossible to do this to a little girl. But the truth of the matter is not important to them. They just carry long guns and short guns and aim at Dashan. They are afraid that an unnoticed headline will be taken away. They don't know that this will directly cause a family to be broken. Dashan has only a 6-year-old IQ, but he has always loved his daughter Icheng without reservation. He saves money every day to be able to give her a beautiful girl's school bag, but the day before the salary was paid, the last school bag in the store was bought by a girl. Dashan wanted to go in and beg, but his father was thought to be harassing him. The next day, Dashan paid his salary. He kept saying that he wanted to buy a school bag for Icheng, who knew that the girl suddenly came to the door yesterday. She said that there was a store selling the same school bag. Dashan was excited to follow him to buy a school bag, but in a corner, the girl accidentally slipped and hit her head and passed out when Dashan arrived. The only thing that caught his eye was the blood and unconscious of the girl. Dashan knelt aside like he was in class. He gave her an artificial respiration, but the aunt, who didn't know the truth, thought he was hurting the girl. This led to a series of incidents. The police took Dashan to the crime scene to simulate the crime because the girl was the director's daughter. Under the pressure of the public opinion, the police needed to quickly solve the case and give a result, so they let Dashan go home to see his daughter. As an excuse, Home Tian Dashan unbuttoned his belt in front of the doll. The scene was a mess. The crowd rushed up and kicked him. A few days later, the court also sentenced Dashan to death. He was locked up in the prison where he was convicted of the crime. As soon as he saw the warden, he couldn't help but beat him up. Then he was thrown into room 7, which was creepy. Those who were locked up here were some cruel criminals. The guards saw the trial letter in Dashan's hand. They were so angry. The angry black boss directly got up and slapped him. Dashan, who was in pain, grabbed the opportunity to run out the door, but he was pushed to the ground by 2 other people with blankets. Then everyone surrounded him and kicked him to vent their anger. In this way, he became the most unappreciated person in room 7. When he was relaxed every day, he sat alone in the corner. He wrote his daughter's name on the wooden stick over and over again. But one day, he suddenly found the man next to him a little strange. Not only did he keep grinding his toothbrush in his hand, he also made a salute to him. The toothbrush, after grinding his teeth, was handed to the man in front of him, and he looked at the black boss in room 7 with a fierce face. Then the man ran forward with his little brother holding a weapon. Dashan got up and rushed over. At the last minute, he pushed the black boss away, and he was crushed by the toothbrush. The black boss immediately reacted and was ambushed. 2 or 3 punches hit the man to the bottom. It wasn't until Yu Jing came to this scene that he fell to his death. After this rescue, the black boss took him as his savior. It turns out that the black boss is a playboy in the prison. He often sneaked in the prohibited items through football to make money for the prisoners' living expenses. The boss took a picture of his chest to ensure that he would fulfill Dashan's wish, but he really didn't expect that Dashan only wanted to see his daughter. The man opened the paper box. There was a girl lying in it. He climbed up and stared at these strange uncles. Suddenly he found his father squatting in the corner. Until then, Dashan was like a wake-up call. Climbed up to his daughter. Faced with Icheng's crying and questioning, he felt guilty but had nowhere to speak. After all, he didn't even know why he was locked up. He could only hold his daughter and keep apologizing. The boss looked at the cute Icheng and smiled, but the other friend was afraid. He said that if the girl was found, she would at least be sentenced to 2 years in prison. He didn't want to be implicated, so he ran to the door and yelled at Icheng. Even though his friends tried to silence him, the voice still attracted Icheng. Icheng had to hide behind the door and didn't dare to make a sound. But in the face of Icheng's questioning, the man suddenly became stiff. Icheng grabbed his hand. He begged him not to tell the truth. The man's heart was instantly softened. He said firmly to Icheng. Hearing this, everyone was relieved. Fortunately, Icheng didn't say anything. He took the bread and left, and Icheng ran into Dashan's arms again. He hugged him tightly. Such a warm scene melted the hearts of the hardworking men here. Icheng looked up and asked Dashan, "Dad, why are you here? You're not a bad person." "Yeah, I'm not a bad person. They're all bad people. I didn't do anything bad. I didn't do anything bad." In a short sentence, he offended all the men in the house. Just as the father and daughter were immersed in the joy of reunion, an accident occurred. Because the pastor was unwell, the singing class that came to the prison to perform had to leave early. Icheng was in a hurry to send people out, but it was too late. He had no choice but to send Icheng back to room 7. The father and daughter were extremely happy about this brief reunion, but Icheng was full of hatred for them. Icheng's existence was a time bomb. He had to pick up soldiers all the time and pay attention to the movements of the guards. But he had to admit that Icheng's arrival added a lot of fun to room 7. The minds of the 5 uncles became extremely delicate. He smiled at the cute Icheng all day long. He even made a star moon lamp. He just hoped he could have a good dream here, but the fire was too big. When Yicheng was choosing the singing class to perform, he found a girl on the stage who had disappeared. Someone dared to bury her under his eyelids. Yicheng immediately searched the prison. When it came to room 7, Yicheng habitually hid behind the door and didn't speak. I didn't expect Yicheng to be smart this time. He opened the window directly. Fortunately, everyone reacted sensitively and lifted Yicheng up. He didn't have time to be happy. Yicheng's serious face appeared in front of everyone. There was a dirty fire. Regardless of the outdoor lightning and heavy rain, the warden ordered Yicheng to be taken away. The kind-spoken Dashin followed behind and begged for mercy. The warden cleared all the grievances that had been suppressed for a long time. In the end, Dashin was tied up and his hands and feet were locked in a small dark room, but things are always one step at a time. Another prisoner heard about room 7. He lit up the whole room with stolen gasoline. He wanted to see his family. In this way, the warden had to let his subordinates take other prisoners away first. He stayed here to negotiate with him. I didn't expect this man to be so rude. In a fit of anger, the warden chose to open the door and rush in. Unexpectedly, the cabinet next to him blocked the way back, and this scene happened to be hit by Dashin. The kind-spoken man opened the cabinet without hesitation and rushed in. When the warden woke up again, he found himself lying on the sick bed in the infirmary. When he learned that Dashin had carried himself out of the fire, he had the first doubt in his heart: is such a kind man really the murderer who killed the girl? The warden began to observe Dashin's every move on a daily basis. He found him to be very humble. His love for his daughter was well received by everyone. He thought again, is such a man really the murderer? Not long after, he received a call from the hospital. It turned out that Yicheng had fallen ill because he missed his father too much. He begged the warden pitifully, "Can't you take me with you?" Faced with the question of the girl, the warden didn't know what to do. For the first time, he could only turn around and leave silently. When he returned to the prison, he had a bold idea, but he was upset. The prison guard sent a paper box. The man joked that his daughter was hidden in it. The warden slapped him on the face to wake him up. Who knew that the voice had just fallen? Yicheng rushed out of the box. Dashin was excited and hugged his daughter. After learning that the warden had been taking care of Yicheng in the dark, Dashin prepared a gift to thank him before leaving. The warden called him, "Can't you take me with you?" Faced with this problem, Dashin was stunned. He was only 6 years old. He didn't know how to defend himself. This also made the warden more doubtful. Dashin's case was too strange, so he contacted his junior at the police station. He found Dashin's confession letter, but at first glance, it was determined that it was not from Dashin. He couldn't even explain it. How could he write such a detailed thing? The warden found the director with the file. He hoped he could reopen the case and clear Dashin's name, but the director said that no matter if Dashin was wronged or not, he needed to find a murderer for his daughter's death. What's more, the election is coming. His daughter's incident can get him more votes, so he couldn't have agreed to reopen the case. Disappointed, the warden came to the school. He took Yicheng to the prison and met Dashin, and his arrival also gave Yicheng hope. The warden's room was filled with joy. He not only taught Wenmangyai how to read, but also borrowed his phone from his classmate to call his missing family. They lived a happy life like a family, and Dashin's case was about to be judged. After this period of time, the warden's family believed that Dashin was framed, so they tried to figure out the cause of the accident through repeated simulations. They found that the girl slipped and fell on the ice. She accidentally pulled a rope tied to the brick. That's how the brick hit her head directly. The girl's death was just an accident. So everyone wrote a new testimony for Dashin and asked him to recite it word by word. In order to consolidate the memory, the investigation was still ongoing. Even when he went to the bathroom, he couldn't stop. He was afraid that Dashin couldn't speak in court, so he practiced on the playground over and over again. Everyone was looking forward to Dashin being able to clear his name. For this, the prison guards also wrote a petition. Everyone in the ancient cave prison signed on it in the hope of increasing the probability of winning. On the day of the trial, the warden unbuttoned Dashin's handcuffs and told him to make it clear, but what everyone didn't expect was that Dashin's eyes became very absent-minded in court. Faced with the lawyer's forced question, he reacted and nodded. A few seconds later, the whole court was in a state of confusion. The warden's eyes were full of confusion. Dashin shouted to wake him up, but he only said sorry. No one knew that the chief found Dashin alone and beat him hard while threatening him with the safety of Yicheng's life. Although Dashin's IQ is not high, but as a father's instinct, the first reaction was to choose to protect his daughter. Maybe breaking the chief's wish can make Yicheng grow up safely and healthily. Everyone's efforts these days were all in vain. The court eventually maintained the original verdict. After learning this news, the prison guards were very sad. Dashin, who didn't understand anything, suddenly came up with the idea of helping him escape. What was surprising was that everyone in the prison voluntarily participated in this activity and worked together to create a colorful hot air balloon. On this day, day, Yicheng's choir was invited to perform in prison. The prison guards took the opportunity to send the two women to the hot air balloon, such a warm scene. Even the guards couldn't help but wave goodbye to them. But at this time, the rope was stopped by the heartless Gangxi King. In fact, everyone knows that this action will not succeed, but they will still try their best to make a dreamless dream for these two women. With their help, Dashan and Yicheng enjoyed the most beautiful sunset in their lives. Soon it was Yicheng's birthday. The prison chief took her to room 7. Everyone in there prepared a gift for her. Dashan also gave out a beautiful girl's school bag. Thank you for giving birth to me. Thank you for giving birth to me. Such a touching scene. The guards couldn't help but wave goodbye to them. But no matter how hard they try, the moment of farewell will come. Dashan stood at the door with Yicheng and sincerely thanked everyone in there. Then he firmly held his daughter and left. But when it was time to say goodbye to Yicheng, Dashan's emotions suddenly collapsed. He held his daughter in his arms and cried. He kept begging the prison chief to help him. But no matter how hard Dashan cried, everyone in there couldn't help him. In the end, he was sent to the execution ground and left his beloved daughter forever. After many years, Yicheng grew up to be a beautiful girl. She also became a lawyer through her own efforts, but she never forgot her father. So she contacted her former friends and decided to use facts and evidence to clear her father's name. In court, she was cleared of all charges. In the end, Dashan was acquitted. But this justice has been delayed for too long. Yicheng stood in the snow. Suddenly, she seemed to see the hot air balloon, and her father was waving his hand to her. Without an iron net, the hot air balloon slowly drifted away with the wind. The video ended there. Dashan's kindness made everyone cry, but it was also this kindness that made her suffer in innocent prison. But if it happens again, I believe she will definitely choose to help. Okay, that's it for this video. See you next time.